So what I got here is a Maxton UC4 valve. You can see this is the UC4 standard, and right down here I actually got a diagram of the UC4M. So the M and the standard are flipped, so you can see on this one the jack is there, the tank is there. On this one we got the tank here and we got the jack there, so they're just flipped. So it's kind of important that you keep those straight, otherwise you will end up with a valve that won't work for your elevator. So take the cover off. On top of the cover it will tell you the voltage of the coils. All the coils are already off. I already took them off. So then you can pull this plate off. The plate will show you the position of the coils. So US, U, D, DL. And those stand for, actually shows you in the manual here. You would think US would be up slow. It's actually not. So you can see here on this page, it tells you what each one is. So actually U is up coil, US is up stop coil, D is down coil, and DL is down level. So common confusion. I mean, you would think, that's kind of what it does. It just does it in a different fashion than you would think. So when these energize the coil that's normally here, it pulls this ball, pulls all that up. And so if you look inside here, there's a little spring. And so when the power is put to that portion of when you want US to fire or you want U to fire, this energizes and turns into an electromagnet, pulls that ball and everything up. And then you can see on the top here, there's a passageway that lets oil go through. So, and what that all does is that changes the relationship to the pressure inside of the control system here. And then with that control system changing pressure, there's two pistons inside here, and those move accordingly to how the pressure is in here. So it's all mechanical other than these four electrically activated solenoids. So you can see all the settings are up here in the front. They all do different things. There's more settings here right on the front as well. There's actually, that guy's a setting too. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do to tweak these around to make them operate right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the top block off and I'll come right back. So what I've done, you got to pull this middle pin out. That goes down into the actual valve body here. You got to pull that guy out, flip it off to the side. There's 4 bolts here. You can see them, 4 there. This guy lifts. All 4 of those bolts come with it. You can see all the different passageways for oil to go through. Okay, let's set that guy off to the side. And then we have this plate here, and this plate seals to the valve body so that the control portion doesn't leak. So if you're getting a ton of oil coming out of this area, you may want to just pull that off and see if one of these O-rings, so you can see these will just pull off, and they come in, I think, that plate like that. So push that guy back down in there. So let me pull that plate off, and then I'll go ahead and pull this front cover off here so you can see the pistons. All right, so I got majority of the bolts out. So Maxton made it pretty easy. They made majority of the bolt Allens. So if you have a standard Allen set, you can get majority of these out without needing a whole lot more than that. So there's 6 that hold this front cover on. Now this is the BPS You can kind of see that's marked BPS. It's got a spring behind it. So if you have this sitting in the the orientation that would be on the elevator, this is going to shoot out at you because there's actually a spring behind that guy. So you just want to be careful. And you see all those parts that just fell out. You know, that's you don't want to drop that stuff, especially if you're working on it above a tank. You know, that would be a bad day for you if you dropped that little pin down in there. So, you know, main important thing with any valve is making sure everything goes back in the way you took it out. So laying everything out, making sure you have everything organized really will make your life a lot easier. Sometimes take pictures if necessary. So I took the bolts out of this guy too. I wanted to show you this. So you see the two pistons now are exposed. If I can get this to flip up. There we go. Okay, so now that's all cleared off. So this here is a long rod. And it goes down all the way to the bottom there. It's actually a screen for the up side, the up control side. So it keeps the oil, you know, big particulates and stuff from going through that. I mean, obviously not going to stop everything, but if you pulled that out and it was filled with metal flakes or something like that, it's not a good sign. So set that guy off the side. So you do have to take the top control block off though to get to that. There's another one here, which I don't, without knocking everything over, I'll get it out when I pull that piston because it's easier to see from there anyway. So let's flip this up. Now on the bottom side here, which I already took out, this is the check valve. So a lot of times you'll see these get left on because you can easily pull the 4 Allens out and leave this threaded to the pipe, okay? So the new Maxton valve will come with a brand new check valve. You want to replace that. I mean, you're putting a new valve on, replace the check valve, okay? I mean, it is a lot more work to pull this off, but you know, the customer's paying for a new valve, so give them a new valve. So you can see here there's actually a spring down in there. So watch that, goes up. So when the pump engages and pressure starts flowing, that pushes that up. And then when it stops, it sets that down. So keep oil from flowing back into through the pump. So I'll set this guy off to the side too. There's a port here. That port is for reading pressure. You see it's coming out off the upside there. I'd have to look and see which exact pressure that is. There's a couple of different ports on this thing. There's another one here. And I don't know. There might be another one too. But yeah, they all for different pressure reads. You can read tank or not tank, pump and jack pressures and whatnot, and you can kind of know what your differentials are. So I'm going to get this pulled out real quick, and then I'll show you the inside of there. All right, you can see I got it pretty well pulled out. It's pretty hard to do if you're just coming from the front side. It's easy to get your finger, coming from like the jack side here and pushing it from behind. But if you don't have access to that, if it was still on the elevator, it could be pretty difficult to get that guy to come out. So that front ring actually has to pop off with it because that doesn't overlap. You can see there are split like O-rings on here, and that's what comes together to seal that up. You see there's that little ball there. So that little ball is pretty important. It actually goes to, there's that little pin in there you can see, and that goes through that, and that drives the down portion, or a part of the down control portion, and that comes up to here, and I'll kind of show that in a sec. I'll take that off and show you what that looks like. But so this is used for the down. And then, so this one again, kind of tough to get out without getting your hand behind it. Same thing though, it's got like a split O-ring wherever. There it is. So it goes together there. So, and that's the upside. So it controls a couple different things there. The manual describes it better than I can. So you see there, we're pretty well broke down now. I mean, now we're about to just the body itself. But yeah, you see that little pen in there. Let me stop it here. I'll pull that off and I'll kind of show you what that does. Oh, actually, real quick. So you can see that. That's the screen for the downside. So you can get your hand up in there and there you go. There's your screen for the downside right there. Okay. So one sec. All right, some more Allens hold that guy on too. That's like a collar of sorts. So underneath there, this is what attaches to that little pin, needle, whatever you want to call it, that's in there. So you see there's two holes here with O-rings on each side. So this actually allows oil to pass at a certain point. So when that pen gets pushed, it spins this, and that allows oil to pass through there at a certain point. So when it's on it normally, that sits down in there, and then you can adjust this to when you want that to go, and it changes different settings in the down. But yeah, so it's very important that when this piston gets put back in, that pin goes inside there. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna get this put back together, and I'll show you that pin really quick with it put together from the bottom side. And so there it is, put back in. See, it's in there. This is going through the check side, so if this was on a unit, that's where it can be very tough to get those lined back up. So, like I said, I'll get this all put back together, and then I'll show a few things in the manual, a couple pages I print off the manual, and then that'll be it. I caught myself. So you see I was starting to put this front cover back on. I was putting the bolts in here. And there's some extra parts. Remember that little pin that fell out? Yep, that needs to go in there. So, yeah, another reason to stay super organized. There shouldn't be any extra parts laid out. So let me get that guy put back in the front here. That fell out of right there. If you didn't know, there is a breakdown. I think I showed that at the beginning. So, all right, so it's all put back together. I have no extra pieces. Those in the corner, those were meant to be pulled off, so don't worry about them. It's amazing how much oil came out of this thing. I mean, you can't see it now. I wiped it up, but freaking just oil everywhere. This thing's been sitting here for a while. But that's hydraulics for you. You think you get it all out, there's still a bunch left. So here is one of the many pages of the Maxton guide. This page here is kind of how to set it up. Good reference sheet. This one here, like I said, this is the UCM page. So it's flipped to what we have here. The tank and jack are. But yeah, you see, I didn't break it down completely. There's a lot of little pieces in there and a lot of, O-rings and seals and whatnot that you can pull out of there. And here's just a sequence of the coil operation and whatnot. But that's just a little rundown on how this UC4 Maxton valve, it gets tore down and put back together. Very reliable valve. And hope you enjoyed it. Catch you next time.